The President of the United States, 3 days this week, is fundraising. So the Democrats are going to outraise the Republicans when it comes to money because the Republicans have lost the grassroots and are relying on the U.S. Chamber of Crony Capitalism, which suffered a grievous loss for them in Georgia just the other day. Rather than building the Republican Party, not with phony pandering and phony outreach, but with a list of principled visions, principled positions that reach out to people not based on the color of their skin or their ancestry, but based on what's between their ears and what's in their hearts. The Republican Party, even if there's a landslide this time around, is a party, well, I think is dying over time, unless a conservative takes it over. I also think the Democrat Party already died, and it was fundamentally transformed, and it's now one of these hard left sort of German political parties, if you will. And it has that totalitarian look to it, sound to it, mentality. So here's Obama today. Obama, who's done more to hollow out the economy as he hollows out the military and hollows out NASA and hollows out our sovereignty. He's done more damage to free market capitalism, to wealth creation, to job opportunities than any president, not just in modern times, probably ever. Here he is at the L.A. Technical College today making a speech, and he makes this speech. This is a fig leaf to cover up his campaign fundraising, so you and I subsidize this trip. Cut 10, go.
Let's everybody get together, Democrats and Republicans, to deter companies from rushing to take advantage of this tax loophole. And let's make sure that we're rewarding companies that are investing and paying their fair share here in the United States. And this is not a partisan issue. Just 10 years ago, a Republican-led Congress cracked down on corporations moving offshore tax havens like the Cayman Islands. We should do it again. And I'm not interested in punishing these companies, but I am interested in economic patriotism.
Economic patriotism. Economic patriotism means taking steps that empower politicians, taking steps that empower the government, taking steps that empower the bureaucracy, surrendering more of your liberty, more of your wealth. And what he's whining on here about is companies, they're not a tax loophole, it's in the tax code apparently. And there's not a lot of them that move their headquarters overseas, depending on how much business they do overseas, to avoid the corporate tax rate in the United States, which is the highest in the world among industrialized nations. This is what he's saying is unpatriotic. This is what he's calling economic patriotism. It's not economic patriotism to have the highest corporate tax rate in the world. Why would you do that to our companies? Why would you do that to our small businesses? Why would you do that to the American people, to the people who work for these companies and invest in these companies, including you and me through our pension funds and mutual funds and what have you? Why do these things? The way to prevent companies, and not just companies, others from leaving the country, is to improve our economic circumstances here. Isn't it amazing, by the way, that Obama, who doesn't believe in borders, that Obama, who doesn't believe in the American nation state, all of a sudden he does when it comes to taxing Americans and American companies. They shouldn't be allowed to go overseas and use the tax code and not pay these confiscatory corporate income tax rates. No, they have to stay here and suck it up. So all of a sudden he's concerned about the border. All of a sudden there's an American nation state. Now if you're coming into this country illegally, you're dirt poor, you're illiterate, we don't know who you are, we don't know if you're sickly, we don't know anything. Then we don't care about American sovereignty as a nation state, and we don't care about the border. So now it's economic patriotism. Since when did socialism become economic patriotism? Since when did big centralized government run by political masterminds become economic patriotism? This man is screwed up. There, I said it and I mean it. I show him exactly the same respect he shows we the people. We know how to create jobs in this country. We've created tens of millions of them before this man was born. We know how to create enterprises in this country. We're the ones who invented electricity and flush toilets and the light bulb. We're the ones who invented the assembly line to make automobiles. What has Obama created and invented? Anything of consequence? No. Not a damn thing. Economic patriotism, he says. I remember when he was running for office early on, speaking of patriotism, remember, Mr. Producer, he wouldn't even put that little flag on his lapel. Now he's going to lecture you and me about economic patriotism. And he wasn't done. Cut 11, go.
And in the meantime, we need to stop companies from renouncing their citizenship just to get out of paying their fair share of taxes.
Stop. Listen to this for a second. Just step back and listen to this. How do you stop people or companies from renouncing their citizenship? I mean, I'm not in favor of renouncing my citizenship. That's not the point. Isn't it amazing that we're encouraging others to renounce their citizenship in the third world, in one banana republic after another, to come into this country? But if somebody who's wealthy and productive decides, I can't take it anymore, I'm renouncing my citizenship and I'm leaving the country, now that's un-American. And by the way, in many ways it is, but that's not my point. My point is Obama's hypocrisy, his confusion, his illogic. You see, Obama's chasing more and more productive people and productive companies offshore while he's encouraging more and more unproductive people to come here. We call them voters. One day. Go ahead, Mr. Producer.
Wait for that. You shouldn't get to call yourself an American company only when you want a handout from American taxpayers.
All right, let's stop for a second. Is this the same guy who kissed GE's butt when they weren't paying taxes? Remember that? Is this the same guy who kisses Apple's butt where his former EPA administrator, Lisa Jackson, is a vice president? Isn't it funny? Obama has a lot of companies he likes, a lot of millionaires and billionaires he likes, who are economic unpatriotic, whatever his phrase is, economically unpatriotic. And I'm reading stories about billions and billions of our hard-earned tax dollars going overseas to help Chinese industries, Brazilian industries. Is that economic patriotism, or is that a schmuck? Go ahead.
So that's why in my budget earlier this year...
Now that's enough. Oh, yeah, you're great. You're great. Your budget. What a joke. Oh, he has a budget. Oh, woe is me. Well, here's what I see, Mr. President. Your EPA and your FDA and your FTC and your Antitrust Division at Justice, your NLRB, your Department of Labor, your regulations, your harassment, your investigations, your taxes. You're the one exporting jobs and businesses and wealth. People don't see it getting better. They see it getting worse. And so they act on it. Who's the one who's stopping this Canadian pipeline in this country that the Canadians want to put here, the Canadians want to build? Tens of thousands of jobs. Billions and billions of dollars. Who's un-American and unpatriotic there, Obama? That would be you. You see, if Obama didn't hate capitalism, we'd have the right conditions in this country, not only to keep businesses here, but to attract foreign companies into this country. But what happens when they come here? Well, they sick the National Labor Relations Board on them. And they sick the AFL-CIO and the SEIU on them. And Obamacare. And if they want to build a plant, they've got to deal with the EPA. And if they join with other companies in this country to become more efficient and bring in foreign currency, then they have to deal with the Antitrust Division of the Justice Department. And then all the social engineering that's imposed on them from HHS and the Department of Labor and the EEOC and all the rest of the crap that's out there. Mr. President, you're an economic illiterate. You're a socialist ideologue. And that's just the top of the list. You're the one causing the self-deportation, to the extent there is any, of productive companies. And by the way, it's minuscule. You see, what happens, ladies and gentlemen, is most of these companies don't leave the country. They go broke. Most of them can't afford to leave the country. They go broke. The people that work there don't have jobs, no more pensions, no more health care. They go under. Whole industries. Look at the coal industry. Is that economic patriotism? What Obama and the EPA are doing to destroy that industry? No, I don't think it is. And one industry after another. The Environmental Protection Agency is an industry-destroying entity. It has as its purpose the war on capitalism. We talked about this the other day. Well, using Obama's own terms, economic patriotism, then I guess he's unpatriotic, economically illiterate, and of course a socialist ideologue.